Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the Go Mortgage podcast, but it's not called the Go Mortgage podcast anymore.
No.
We have an official name. Xavier, welcome firstly, and I want
Thank
you to
you.
introduce the name. Tell us the story behind it.
So the name is Listen, Learn, Let's Go.
How good's that?
Well, you know, you have to listen to learn, but we're not learning, we're loaning here. So I thought it was only fitting that we find a name that's a little bit out there. So Listen, Learn, Let's Go.
Let's go. I love it. Now, also, obviously you act fast because already you've got the T-shirt going with the branding. How good's that?
Yeah, well, it is an industry where we do act fast. So, yes, there's no time like now to get things done, which I could segue into a question I often get asked from people. When's the best time to buy? The best time's always now. I mean, you know, yesterday was cheaper, but we can't do that. And tomorrow's more expensive. So there you go.
Very true. That's a good perspective. Now, talk to us about today. Upcoming on this podcast, we've of course got our favourite segment at the end, which will be questions for you. But before we get there, we've got our first interview with Olivia. So what should the listeners look forward to for this interview coming up?
Yeah, so the reason we've got Olivia coming on is we always try and help our buyers that next extra little bit, if you want. And the market's really tough. It's going up. It's great when you're in. I'm happy with that. But when you're trying to get into the market, it's really difficult. So Olivia is a shortcut way to get to a good property fast and in a painless manner, I guess.
Yeah, and what I like about you guys is that you're going to, and over the next few months of this podcast journey, we're going to be bringing in some very special guests, but people that not necessarily... people you're collaborating with for your client to help them get a better outcome. So talk to us maybe about the importance of collaboration and bringing in other professionals from other industries.
Yeah, so we can't do it all. When you purchase a property or build an investment portfolio or buy through your super fund or have life events happen, divorce, bankruptcy, all that stuff happens, right? So we make sure that around us we've got the other professionals that are needed to get in or get out of a situation, basically. And so what we're going to do over the next few podcasts is invite some of the guests that we work with and closely with that should form part of your team to get you there, faster, better, basically.
Awesome. Oh, I can't wait. How are you feeling? How are you finding the podcast experience? Are you getting nice and comfortable now in front of the mics and the cameras?
This is great. I'm glad that the bloopers are not out there.
Yeah, they don't need to see those.
Maybe one day. Who knows?
Well, shall we listen, learn, and let's go?
Let's go.
Welcome to the interview part of this podcast, and today we sit across from Olivia from the Schwarmer Group, REIQ Buyers Agency finalist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Olivia, what would be the two main reasons one would use a buyer's agent?
Quite simply, to put it, time is precious and knowledge is power.
Xavier's about to take over the questions because he knows a lot more than I do, but for somebody as naive as myself, and maybe some listeners are unaware, tell us what a buyer agent is and exactly what you do.
Yeah, quite simply, I guess we look after the buyer. So just as a sales agent would represent the seller of a property, we represent you as a buyer. So having someone independent on your side to make sure that you're purchasing right.
Awesome.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Olivia, for coming. We do a lot together. There might be some obvious questions here for you, but I think it's important for our audience to understand. And the first one I'd like to ask is, why should someone use a buyer's agent?
Yeah, I guess there's a few reasons why you'd use a buyer's agent. And in the market right now, what we're finding is, first of all, they keep missing out on properties. Yeah. It's a hot market and it's a tight market too.
Yeah, the market is hot, that's for sure.
Yeah, so you need a competitive edge if you're going to buy right and well. And time poor as well. We are all trying to juggle full-time jobs, families. Who has time to now not only, I guess, go out and look at properties, but also research the properties as well and be confident in what you're buying?
Because it's a big decision, right? No, we're buying a very expensive item. And so I guess, is it fair to say that you spend all day doing that? So you should have a bit of an idea of what you're doing, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. I said, well, anybody can buy a property, but it's making sure that you're buying the right one. Like you said, it's a lot of money. If we're spending $1 million on a property, you want to be making sure that you get that right. It's like you'd find with your clients, just save up that initial deposit. You want to make your money when you buy. You make your money on the way in. So we need to make sure that we use that initial money right to start with.
Yeah.
And then we watch that trickle on down the track to then build more equity and buy your second property.
Yeah, so buy right. And I'm thinking the next question I had is, why should we work together? So buyer's agent and brokers. And correct me, what comes into mind for me is also time frame. You know, we see so many buyers that we get pre-approval for, and then they're on the market for months. How can you help with that?
Yeah, definitely. And I guess it's what we've done with clients before. It's speeding up that process. So if you're a serious buyer, you want to make sure you've got the right team around you. And that team's not just a buyer's agent. That team is having your mortgage broker, having your solicitor, having the team and the people that are on the same path to your goal.
Yeah.
And if we start that at the very beginning, when we're doing the initial consult with a client, our relationship is you go through a lot more than just getting the finance for a client, which I know because I've worked with you.
Yeah.
Those initial meetings where you're finding out about the client, what they're wanting to purchase, what their long-term goals are, that's where then we cross over and go, hey, let's keep up to date with what's happening in the market. Is this achievable? This is where that client wants to go. And we just get that inside knowledge of where to start.
Yeah, cool, excellent. And so if I have, as a mortgage broker, I've got a buyer, and we've organised their pre-approval, with the borrowing capacity, so we know how much that they have to spend. What's the advantage you can bring to them? So I can either send them to market, you know, you're pre-approved, congrats, now go find something, or you take them over. What are the things that they're going to benefit having you in their corner, you on their team, as you say?
Yeah, I guess the biggest difference would be the access to the off-market stock and the pre-market stock.
So what's that?
Yeah.
What's an off-market stock?
Yeah, so the off-market properties are the ones that you're just not going to find on realestate.com. They're the ones that aren't coming to market. They might just be sitting in the background, testing out to see. You're also going to find pre-market properties. So ones that aren't on realestate.com yet. So for our buyers, you're getting a step ahead of the competition.
So you're the one you're the culprit when I hear my buyers going, I keep missing out on properties. It only just landed and it's already sold. Olivia snatched it. Is that it?
Right,
That's
okay.
it. And to be honest, it's about 70% of what we purchase is off market or pre-market, as we like to call it. For a buyer, that's really frustrating because you are spending your weekends going to open houses and you get there and first of all, the property's probably already under contract before it hits the market. It's got an offer on it. You're wasting your Saturdays because it's gone, or that property is maybe 100K above what your actual budget is, but you don't know the market, so how are you meant to know that?
So it's a little bit like when I try to buy a ticket to see Coldplay or Taylor Swift. I keep missing out because I'm not on the VIP list. Is that it?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's sharpening your sword. It's getting ahead of the competition. You want to be a sharp buyer, and that doesn't matter what price range you're in. It just means that you've got to be a step ahead. You have to be doing something different to what everyone else is doing.
What are the buyers that would benefit the most? Like, do you have a couple of stories for us of who you've helped and how that just changed their world completely?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a myth that buyer's agents only work for the very high-end top properties or the top budgets in the millions. Actually, the most amount of, I guess, value that we can really help and where we find the biggest difference is in that first homeowners range.
Okay.
That range and that price bracket is so competitive. So you've got anywhere from up to that $1 million, or say even if you're at your 500, 600, you're competing with a lot more people.
Yeah, so it's not just the value, but the access. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's the access to the properties and also making sure as a first home buyer you're buying well to start with, and you may not have that knowledge, I guess, of the market. You've never done it before. So going through a contract or going through you building a pest or getting to that unconditional can be frightening stage.
Yeah, so it's not just finding the property, it's how to also negotiate, lock it in, and take it to settlement.
Definitely.
Which is an art, right? Because as a first-time buyer, you only ever done, well, that's the first time, obviously.
Yeah.
and there's a lot of stuff to know. We in Queensland, 700,000 is a guide to get the first-time buyer incentive, and whenever I speak to a first-time buyer and we go, yep, we'll go for 700, I can hear the sigh going, how am I going to find that? So are there properties out there for those kind of buyers on the Gold Coast and in Brisbane today?
Yeah, there definitely is, but it's just very competitive. So if you're first home buyers, and what we found is they come to us after they're exhausted. They have been out there for, say, 6 months. We just purchased for a beautiful couple. They were in Brisbane, wanted to buy their first home on the Gold Coast, and they were just exhausted, tired from looking every weekend. They had that $750 max kind of budget, and they wanted a home. So they wanted that home that they could raise a family in. They're recently married. So it's that dream of having that land. And that was getting really sad because every open house they went to, there was 40 groups through. And that's not uncommon. Like in this market, especially this time of year, absolutely crazy. So you're going there, 40 other groups of first home buyers, all in the 700s, all trying to do the same thing. You get deflated. So
yeah, week after week. Actually, it makes me think of, we do have a few people splitting up, which is never nice, but we have to think about what's the future for them. And not in a stereotypical way, but often the kids stay with mum and mum needs to find a new house, and that adds another layer. So not quite first time buyer. Can you help people like that as well?
Most definitely. We just had one actually, a single mum, 3 kids. She works at a daycare centre full time. She just sold her home and it was through a divorce scenario, but she still needs to stay in the same area. The kids go to school. And the problem is she sold really well, which isn't the problem, but now she's got to buy.
In the same market.
In the
so
same
sideways,
market.
right?
So you pretty much. Again, she's sold. So now we've got a time frame on it. So she's need to find something within 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
you have to live somewhere.
You've got to live somewhere.
That's right.
Which is it. So what we were able to do is she come on board as a client, said, is this even possible? Can I still find another home within this budget and in the same area? I said, all right, let's do it. If you're going to do it, you'll find it with us. And what we were able to actually do is find something off market for her. And it was off market, absolutely perfect position. The kids are still walking distance to school. It just was something that she goes, how could I have found that? And you just wouldn't find that without having access to.
So am I getting this right? I'm thinking, I just pictures in my head, right? I either can go Saturday morning, trudge through open homes, be with another 40 buyers, or you can find me an off-market property. I can sit on the couch on a Saturday morning, just get a text message with one that no one else is looking at.
That's right.
Is that it?
Yeah. So
I think I like that better.
Yeah, we do the hard work first. So we know we do the hard work. We're not going to send you the 40, 20, 30 properties that are all on realestate.com.
Yeah.
You can see those properties. Let's go through and have a look what else is coming up. Is there anything that you need to see? And saying that too, sometimes the off-market properties aren't always the best properties, and that's where you need that knowledge.
Yeah.
So knowledge is power, knowing the market is power, so you also need to be very switched on and smart to know what's a good deal.
Yeah, no, that's fair call. It sounds a lot easier, especially in a buoyant market to do that. Now, the hard question, I suppose, you don't work for free, I suppose.
Like anything, you get what you pay for.
You get what you pay for. So how does it work with the buyer's agent when you engage a buyer's agent? Obviously, we understand a real estate agent get paid by the vendor, so we don't care about that right now. How do you engage your services? How does it work?
Yeah, so just as a real estate agent gets paid by the seller, the buyer's agent gets paid by the buyer. And that is because we are completely independent. So we're not taking commissions from sales agents and we're not taking any kickbacks, which means that you've got us working just for you. So it doesn't matter what we purchase.
So total transparent,
Totally
which is great.
transparent.
Yep.
Yeah. And upfront, honest. In regards to how much that is, it depends on what you're purchasing. It depends on the packages and what you need. Some clients come to us for different reasons. They may just need help with the negotiation, or they may just need that extra cast net wider to find those off-market properties. Then you've got clients who are interstate and need the whole from start to finish as well. So it is a lot more reasonable, a lot more common now to actually have a buyer's agent on your side.
Yeah, well, it's tricky to buy it there, right? So we can say we're saving time. Yeah, we get access to properties that other people don't even know it's for sale, so the off-market property, and then we get all the help in terms of negotiating, ensuring the property's in the right spot, the right price, all that stuff. So buyer's agent is really powerful. We find that if I had to answer that question, why should we work together? We see a lot of fatigue in the market indeed. We get a lot of pre-approvals together and people don't end up finding what they're looking for. They get deflated and then just miss out. And what's really sad is that sometimes we see them again, but a year, 2 years, 3 years later, and they go, oh, we'll have another go. And the market's gone up and it's even more difficult. So that's the really sad part of not finding a property when you're ready to go. Yeah.
Can I ask, as somebody that will be a first home buyer soon, if I've got a budget for my home, but now I'm going to have another expense of a buyer's agent, is there a way you could potentially factor that into the price? So, for example, if my budget was $500, I don't know what your fees are, but would you be able to find a place for like $490, for example, to factor in a fee? Is that possible?
Yeah, most definitely. So that all comes into play as well. But I think what is more important on that side there is the amount of money you would save having a professional do it for you.
Sure.
And that's just down to negotiating. So I'd say in everyday life, you're not negotiating every day, like in your current job, right?
Yes.
Whereas for us, it's so common and we've got negotiation skills and you just know a little bit more than I guess you would. So
of course.
For an example, even if there's on the market and a property's listed for a certain price, you automatically might see that and go, oh, that's way too above for me. That's not going to happen. Whereas we could see it, we know the story behind it, and then we could go, actually, yes, it could still fit in to your budget. Another point on that is not even just having the finances, but having the different terms and conditions really set up from the start. So that could really help you as well. So what I mean by that is having sharp finance terms, having really good building and pest guys that can come in, get the job done quick. So it's, as you know, for finance, if you work with a broker that is on the ball, has your pre-approval done, can push it through with the banks quickly, you're going to be very strong, as opposed to somebody who hasn't even looked at doing their pre-approval yet and put in a long 21-day finance. So sometimes it's not always the price. Sometimes it comes down to those conditions that you can use up your sleeve that will help you get an edge on somebody else.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And so am I right to say, imagine I'm a real estate agent or I'm a vendor, and I've got 20 buyers come through and then you turn up. Is it fair that if I know anything about buyer's agent, I'm thinking, well, I know whoever you bring, that's a done deal, versus the other 20 that, well, I don't know their life story. I don't know if they got a pre-approval. I don't know if they can actually complete. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. We're a sharper buyer, and that's no doubt because you've got a sharp buyer. If they're hiring a professional to work for them, then you know they're a serious buyer. So if you're a serious buyer, you want to purchase, get the right people behind you. You will, first of all, be first up there to actually get in when you're competing with another 30 people or a multiple offer scenario. We find that all the time where the client will just come to us and be like, we have missed out only by 10K. Like if only we knew, like we would pay that, but we didn't have the opportunity to even go back. And in this market, you can't.
Yeah.
It's too competitive. So you've got to know and you have to have those relationships with the agents.
And as buyer's agents, as you say, it's getting more popular in Australia, and especially on the Gold Coast. The real estate agents understand that, right? So that's part of your job, tell me if I'm correct, is to assert yourself as we have serious buyers. When we turn up, you know, sales done, if we can agree on it. Is that right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Our buyers are pre-approved. They've come through mortgage brokers. They are ready. They're ready to hit the market. They're ready to buy. They're not going to be paying a buyer's agent if they're not serious about it.
Yeah, so you turn up, press hard, 3 copies, we're good to go.
Let's go.
So as we come
Okay.
towards a close of this amazing interview, I've learned so much. Thank you so much, Olivia. I just want to ask, so what is the relationship between Go and the Schweimer Group and moving forward?
Yeah, I guess it's that same path. You could jump in as well, but
Yep.
I think it's been on the same path for the client. So working in their best interest and making sure from the start that we're all on the same page so that client isn't wasting their time. They're not chasing that tail of looking for a property in their price range that's not achievable. I love that that's what you guys do. You're straight up honest with your clients, and that transparency and honesty is what we do as buyer's agent.
Yeah,
and
well, yeah, and I think using a buyer's agent gives you better access to properties, shortens the time frame, and often gets you a better deal. You know, it's hard enough. We talk about the amount of red tape and the hoops you got to jump to get an approval, a finance approval together. But that's only half the job done. So we've done all that, and now you can't find a property. So it's heart-wrenching. It's very difficult and time-consuming. So we want to make sure when we've onboarded our client and got them that far, that then the second part, which is out of our control, which is finding the right property, is as smooth and efficient and, you know, successful as possible. So if we could refer all our pre-approved buyers to a buyer's agent, we'd love that. We understand that some people want to look on their own, but it's always a success story when Olivia's on the scene. So
That's awesome. Well, 20 minutes ago, I had no idea what a buyer's agent was. So now I do, which is awesome. How do we get in contact with you? How do we find you? Socials, website, your contact details, anything you want to give out to the listeners and viewers?
Yeah, on socials, of course. The Schweimer Group. Follow us on Instagram. I'm Olivia McRae. Search me up. Follow along. We do a lot of add values and just give some extra tips to buyers on what you can look for. But also, just feel free to reach out. Send a DM. Just ask us some questions. We're here to help, and we're locals here. We love the area, and we want to help the Gold Coast. So, yeah, reach out.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Olivia.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Okay, it's time for our favourite segment, hot topics, burning questions, all of the above. So Xavier, I've got a couple for you. Now,
Okay.
we typically don't go too topical on this podcast, but it is the start of 2024, and there was a new Queensland First Home Owners Grant. Can you please explain to us, what does this mean? Where are the changes at? What do I need to know?
the first home owners grant is increased from 15,000 to 30,000.
Wow.
So if you buy a brand new property, whether you buy a unit or a townhouse just being completed, or you buy a house and land package that you will build, you get access to the 30,000 cash from the government. Now, this is on top of other first home buyer incentive you may get. I think we've covered some in the other episodes, the first home buyer scheme and the stamp duty concession. But so here's something interesting, and you're going to love this, right? I've seen this, but a long, long time ago, we've done an exercise and said, how about if you could, as a first-home buyer in Queensland, buy a house for 500,000, or a unit or a townhouse that was brand new. We've done the numbers. Between the first home owner's grant of 30,000, the first home buyer scheme where you pay no mortgage insurance, and the stamp duty concession at 500,000, you don't pay any stamp duty. Right. If you were to buy a house as a first home buyer and benefit from all these three incentives, by the time you finish buying the house, you would get $1,000 cash in your hand. So you would buy a house for free and get given $1,000 cash. Now, people are going to say, what do you buy for 500? I get it. But if you could, you know,
Yeah.
that's what it ends up like. So that's, when we say the barrier to entry for first-time buyers, well, it's gone. Right, the government's definitely trying to help. Now, I'm not saying it's not a super, super competitive environment. It is, and that's why we surrounding ourselves with a team like buyers agents and the like. But it's a very good time for first-time buyers to get in the market.
And that ties in with the interview we just heard with Olivia, doesn't
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, so now there's going to be tons of people looking for those properties, so you need to be at the front of the line and have help to get yours through, for sure.
Now, the other burning question is our good friend, the interest rates, the usual suspect, you like to call it. Now, For someone like me that's fairly naive in this area, things have changed, but can you explain to me, dumb it down for myself and the audience, what does it mean? Should we be scared? Should we be excited?
Right.
Tell us all about it.
Did you bring your crystal ball?
I'm waiting for this disco ball, Dave.
Well, yeah, we use the disco ball because when we listen to the media, instead of finding the right answer, it tends to like shoot out everywhere. So we like bring out the disco ball. Look, it's very interesting. It has been Christmas, so usually that's a spending season. And everyone was bracing end of last year going, oh, we're trying to get the inflation down, but everyone's going to go to the shops and spend for Christmas. What's that going to look like in January? Well, the inflation has gone down a lot. And what that means is that the outlook for the interest rate in the last couple of months has completely changed. So I've written some notes.
Yeah, cool.
So that I don't tell you something that's not right. But the chat on the street is, from Westpac and the Commonwealth Bank, is that the interest rate will start to lower from September 2024. Don't know if that's true, but AMP's chief economist, Shane Oliver, predicts that there would be 3 rate cuts this year, not just one, like Westpac and CBS said.
Yeah,
Okay. And NZ also forecast that a single rate cut would be in 2024, but in 2025 they will keep going down. The good thing about that for us is that when we have a conversation about where are the rates going, should we fix, should we not, we know we're at the top and we're looking forward to a drop in the future, which is great.
Well, Xavier, that's basically episode 3, done and dusted in the books with the new name, which is fantastic. Now, of course, if you do have a question for Xavier, make sure you write that in. We'll put the email address in the show notes. But Xavier, how do we get in contact with you and find you and work with you at Go Mortgage?
Well, you know, we're the best mortgage broker on the Gold Coast, so just Google it. You should find our website, our socials. We're on Insta, TikTok, YouTube. Wherever you think you should find us, we'll be there. Worst case scenario, send us an email or give us a call.
Fantastic. We'll see you next month for the next episode.
Sounds great.